Hey guys, it's Logan here with Hydra572. Now my video called I Don't Get Serrations was pretty popular, so I figured it was about time that I record my next entry into that series of things that I don't get about knife design. And this one, as you've probably seen from the title, is called I Don't Get Titanium. I mean that as a knife material. Outside of the knife industry, titanium is a pretty exceptional material. It's got a really high tensile strength and rigidity rate in comparison to its density. It's highly corrosion resistant, and it resists fatigue really well. However, it does have some downsides, as all materials do. It is very expensive and difficult to machine, and it can be brittle when it's taken to failure, whereas steel and aluminum are more malleable. Now, these qualities make it pretty much ideal for the aerospace and medical industries, the racing industry. It's found a whole lot of usage there, and people have come to think of it as a high-quality material because in those endeavors, like auto racing, like bike racing, if you have a titanium part, that's a very expensive part that was difficult to machine, and it's very high quality. But does titanium really make sense for knife design? I mean, when we look at the knives that titanium is used in, they're often frame locks that appeal to the more higher quality production knife crowd. We're talking $200 plus a knife. The knives are designed to feel overbuilt. And I think that's really cool. I love my overbuilt feeling knives. I love my ZT. I even love my AK, which I would say is overbuilt. But why are these knives made to feel overbuilt? And is titanium really the correct material for an overbuilt feeling frame lock type knife? And I'm not convinced that it is, and I'm not sure that outside of feeling overbuilt and looking overbuilt that there's any benefit to that, because most of the people that are buying these blades are not really looking to use them in a woodcraft type role, maybe not even really looking to use them in a defensive type role. And now, I've never been one to say that because you won't use a knife for a certain reason that you shouldn't buy the optimal tool for that reason, but really we're not even talking about the optimal tool for something, because for both fighting knives and woodcraft knives, fixed blades are the reigning champions as far as I'm concerned. And outside of fixed blades, if you really need durability, I hate to just advertise for one company, but the cold steel triad lock seems to be the way to go. We've seen in tests time and time again on YouTube and other places that the DPX test has failed this test, the cold steel triad lock has passed this test and that test, and other titanium frame locks have failed and needed to be remachined, needed to be sent back. So it seems to me that this market for these knives don't really make a lot of sense. First off, if it's a cosmetic thing, I think there are a whole lot of materials that look a whole lot better than titanium does. I'm not saying I don't like the look of machined titanium, but I mean, titanium can be anodized and that looks really cool, but otherwise I would prefer to see a cool colored G10 with a mix of colors that are layered. I would prefer to see a micarta wrap that looks good, even just a highly stylized titanium or steel, but often these knives have one scale that's a stylized G10 and one scale that's just the plain machined titanium for the lock side, and I'm not really sure that I like that look. I would prefer that they look the same on both sides. But even outside of that, I just think it sort of looks dull, the same way that a satin blade with a black G10 handle starts to look dull after you've seen 150 of them. I think we're sort of getting to the point where we've overplayed that titanium lock-sided and one cool stylized side knife. And honestly, I would rather see more blades that are liner locks because it allows you to have that uniform, both scales looking the same or at least similar, and then you could have both scales be, like I said, a lower cost option that would keep the overall cost of a high quality blade low. You can have stylized G10, colored G10, micarta. You could even have FRN if you had it on the side of a big thick slab of steel or titanium or whatever that you're using for your liners. Now as far as backlocks go, as I've said, the titanium is spectacular because of its resistance to fatigue, and the thing that causes lock bars to fail, that is a fatigue. So I'm not sure why we haven't seen more backlocks, the specific backlock piece being made from titanium, because I feel like that would up the strength. Again, I'm not an engineer, but, you know, titanium is exceptional for its weight, for resistance to fatigue, so why not use it in an application where it could actually get to resist that type of force? I feel like most of the time when titanium is used in the knife industry, it's used as sort of a buzzword that you can use. You can put a certain material on a knife and it enters it into a different class of cost and expected performance and all that stuff, the same way that we get when we put 154 cm or S30V on a blade. You expect different things from that blade. And honestly, I just don't understand, because it doesn't seem to be the optimal material. It doesn't seem to be a needed material. And honestly, I don't think it's all that attractive of a material when it's compared to its other options when it comes to knife handles. So I'm not really sure why titanium has held the knife market captive. It's sort of like when it comes to knives that have handle scales, I'm not sure why carbon fiber is used as such a buzzword and an indicator of quality, because again, carbon fiber has its other uses outside of the knife handle scale industry that make it exceptional. But as a knife handle scale material, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense outside of stylization, and honestly, it doesn't really get used in a way that accentuates its stylization very often. And I find that pretty curious. So that was the basic point of the video, is that I don't really understand the high cost titanium frame lock folders. Not to say that I hate frame locks or that I hate titanium. I do plan on adding some titanium frame locks and some stainless steel and some aluminum frame locks to my collection at a later time, but the reason that I don't have many up to this time is just that frame locks don't make a lot of sense to me. I would prefer to have that handle scale to keep the consistent hand shape and the consistent look even when the lock is engaged. I just think they look better and they feel better in hand. And I don't think titanium makes a whole lot of sense as a frame lock material when it's compared to steel or even aluminum with a hardened steel insert. So I think often titanium as a material is used in a way that's frankly pretty abusive to the consumer. It raises cost a whole lot, and it makes you feel like you're purchasing a higher quality blade when the performance increase may be marginal at best. And honestly, I don't think that aesthetically it looks as good as a cheaper option like a stylized G10. Not to bash on anyone that does like the look of a finished G10, that does like that look that's created by having one handle scale that's stylized, and then on the other side just having a lock bar. Those are all aesthetics, and that's up to your preference. I'm just, explaining why those knives aren't in my collection, why I'm not so excited about them, and why they just don't make sense to me. So, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.